So as we're approaching the end of 2025, this year has definitely been very important for Nintendo, obviously with the launch of their next generation system, the Nintendo Switch 2, and I've seen a couple of YouTubers starting to make videos about their wish list and things that they want to see with the system and games and things in 2026. And I don't think that I've ever really made a video like this, but I think it's kind of fun to do something like this where I just talk about what I would love to see, and then maybe next year I can even make a follow-up to it with more predictions and then looking back on this and seeing how many things ended up being true. So it actually seems like a pretty fun idea, so I figured I'd also chime in with some of my ideas. Now real quick before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Deck Talk. Deck Talk makes all sorts of lighting systems, and they were kind enough to send over their foldable smart lamp for me to check out. This lamp is composed of multiple lights and can be folded into many configurations to look perfect in your room. It comes with a remote to control the brightness and colors, but there's also an app on your phone with many lighting effects, and you can even see the colors change and get to make your own ones. What's even cooler though is that it connects to your smart home, so I can just say something like, "Alexa, make the light green," and it'll actually change. It's a really cool light, and right now Deck Talk is having a holiday sale, so feel free to check it out from the link below in the description, and thank you so much again to Deck Talk for sponsoring the video. Alright, but getting into it, I'm really just going to be talking about all the stuff that I wish to see from Nintendo next year, and it could be about the Switch 2 itself, games, updates, really anything, and it is a wish list video, so it doesn't have to be like likely to happen or realistic or anything, though I do feel like all of these things that I am going to talk about do have a pretty likely chance of happening. Like, I'm not saying anything completely outlandish, so I am excited to see how many of these actually do come true. Alright, but the first thing that I've got here is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which is a brand new Nintendo Switch 2 game that was announced inside of the last Nintendo Direct, and so this is going to be a brand new Fire Emblem game coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 next year, and it will have been a little bit of time since the last one, which was Fire Emblem Engage, so that was I think at the start of 2023, so it will have been 3 years since the last Fire Emblem game, so to finally get a brand new one on the Switch 2, that is going to be really nice. And in terms of some of the wishes that I have for this game, one thing that I'm really hoping for is that the gameplay is really unique, that it does have some like really fun mechanics to it and some really good kind of just the way that you can customize your units and stuff. I actually really did love Fire Emblem Engage's gameplay. I thought that it was awesome with like the different types of emblems that you could equip to your characters, the bond rings that you could have, the different weapons and kind of abilities that you had, kind of like that whole weapon breaking system and stuff. Like, it was a lot of fun in terms of that. So I am hoping that we can get some of that type of customizability and just a really fun type of gameplay like that with the next new Fire Emblem also. But then something that I've seen a lot of people complaining about, which for me wasn't really a huge problem with Engage, but a lot of people didn't really like how the story was very simple and it didn't really have like a super deep complex narrative. So I'm hoping that they can have a good balance between gameplay and having actually a really good story with this new Fire Emblem game on the Switch 2 as well. So I'm hoping for that to be the case. And also personally, I would rather have this Fire Emblem game just be one route where you play through the game once and then you're pretty much done. I'm not really a huge fan of having like the multiple routes where you have to play through a lot of the game over and over, especially with like Three Houses where you had to basically play the entire first half of the game, which was identical for all the routes, and it just got kind of really tedious. So unless the entire game is going to be completely different for all the multiple routes, then I'm okay with having multiple endings and stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm fine with just having one single route where you just play through the game once and then maybe you can unlock like a hard mode or something at the end, but it's just one story that you play from beginning to end, and then you will have experienced everything that the game has to offer. 2026 is going to be the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, and it is pretty much all but confirmed that we are in fact going to be seeing a brand new 10th generation of Pokemon next year on the Nintendo Switch 2. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will be 4 years old next year, and so to just celebrate the anniversary and have an all new generation with a new region, new starters, new Pokemon, it just makes perfect sense. And as this is my wish list video, one of the things that I do really wish to see is that the generational leap that we get from the Nintendo Switch to the Switch 2 next year with a new generation of Pokemon actually feels pretty significant. And like I said, it is a wish list video because we know that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company really haven't been the best at developing the visuals for Pokemon games, but I do feel like they are slowly getting a little bit better with each and every release. But having a much more powerful system like the Switch 2, and we've already seen that with like Pokemon Legends EA, they're able to get the game in 60 FPS and stuff, so I am really hoping that the 10th generation of Pokemon, and really the first ever like Pokemon game made for the Switch 2, really does feel like a pretty big leap and actually feels like a really nice Pokemon experience. I don't know how likely that is, but like I said, this is just a wish list video, so I have to add this in here. But next year is also going to be the 40th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda franchise, and Nintendo has been pretty good with having some type of Zelda content every year. For the most part, they said that this is something that they really wanted to do, and even this year we still had Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and I really do hope that next year we do actually get something to celebrate the Zelda anniversary. And I know that it is still too early to get like an all-new 3D Zelda made for the Switch 2 because Tears of the Kingdom was just a few years ago, and even that was being built off of Breath of the Wild, and it still took a really long time to come out. So I know that we're probably not going to be seeing like an all new 3D Legend of Zelda game until like probably like 2028 at the earliest. But what I do think that could possibly happen is maybe a 3D Zelda remake to celebrate the anniversary. Now, of course, my favorite Zelda game is Ocarina of Time, and I really do feel like having that game get like a full from the ground up remake or reimagining, really to kind of just envision that with a new type of modern gameplay and having that on the Switch 2 in beautiful 4K visuals and stuff, I do think that that game would be incredible. But even if they don't want to do like a remake, or if they want to remake some other Zelda game, that would be pretty cool too. But maybe they could also just finally give us those Twilight Princess and Wind Waker ports that people have been asking for so many years now. And maybe because of the fact that they're going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2, instead of being Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, maybe now they can be upscaled even more with the power of the Switch 2 and the upscaling to be like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker 4K, have like a double pack of that and have both of them, and I think that would be a really good value, at least to have something to celebrate the Zelda anniversary. Now, Mario Kart World was a great launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2, but I think that we can all agree that the game kind of did fall off a little bit, as there's not really a ton of discussion about it anymore and really a bunch of people playing it all the time. I'm sure that there are people that play it daily that still exist, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's really kind of up there as like one of the big multiplayer games that people are still playing a lot on the Nintendo Switch 2. So I'm really hoping that next year we get some updates and DLC added to Mario Kart World. Maybe they can finally start adding some more DLC characters. Maybe they could show off some new tracks that are coming, or just even adding things that we've kind of wanted, like 200cc. So I'm hoping that that game does get some updates next year and some more content. And speaking of Mario, we are in fact getting the Super Mario Galaxy movie next year, and I'm hoping that this movie is also going to be really good. It of course is going to be based off of my favorite 3D Mario game, which is Mario Galaxy, and I'm really excited to see how Rosalina and all these other characters are going to work inside of that. But at the same time, I think that the first Mario Bros movie was kind of very safe and it didn't really do anything super crazy, but I'm hoping that because they kind of established a lot of the basic stuff with the first movie, that this one can be much more crazier and kind of do some surprises. So I'm hoping for that to be really good. And kind of going off of that, with all the hype for Mario, can we finally please get the reveal or announcement for the next 3D Mario game? Because Super Mario Odyssey was incredible, but that was 2017, and it will have been 9 years next year since that game, and I think it would be insane if we go an entire decade without getting any update or new 3D Mario game. And we know for a fact that it has to be coming. It's going to be a huge system seller for the Switch 2, but I'm really hoping that we finally can get to see what it looks like, or maybe even like a little tease for it, even if it can't release next year, but to finally just get the confirmation that yes, this brand new 3D Mario game does exist. I'm also wishing that Nintendo continues with the Nintendo Switch 2 editions and having the free updates for existing Switch games that get more enhanced and upgraded with better performance and visuals and frame rates and stuff with the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm a big fan of that, and I am still asking for all of the Xenoblades to get this treatment, because you guys know I love all of the Xenoblade games, and these are definitely some of the games that I really feel like need that update on the Nintendo Switch 2, where you can play through the gameplay and the combat and everything in buttery smooth 60 FPS, give me like these incredible areas and environments in the world, and like beautiful HDR lights and everything to make it look really nice on a high resolution TV and stuff, make everything just look really good. I feel like those games could get such an amazing coat of paint and a lot of extra polish to just have Switch 2 versions, but there's a lot of other games that can also get performance updates and just look better on the Switch 2, so I'm really hoping that they can keep those updates and Switch 2 editions going, and I really feel like it's just really good for Nintendo to do that with the entire Switch 2 generation. And kind of going off of that, I also really wish to see what Monolith Soft's brand new game is going to be. We know for a fact that they have been hiring and have been working on a brand new RPG game that is being directed by Takahashi himself, and more than likely this game is probably being developed for the Switch 2, but we have no idea really what this is. Maybe it could be Xenoblade 4, but I honestly kind of want to see like an all-new IP from Monolith Soft where it's just a brand new series or a brand new never before seen type of game where they do something that we've never really kind of experienced before, but because of that, just having that ability to have a new world and new characters and stuff and just having a new experience on the Switch 2 with the power of that system, I think it would be really cool. So I'm personally really hoping to see that. Maybe we can finally get the announcement for that, or maybe we can just get a tease for that and the game will still be a little bit far away, but I'm really hoping to see what Monolith Soft has been working on. And finally, the last wish that I have here is for an update to the Nintendo Switch 2 system itself, and this is regarding VRR or variable refresh rate in docked mode, as right now we know for a fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 screen, the one that comes on the tablet, is capable of VRR or variable refresh rate, where it dynamically can change the frame rate of the games that you're playing for a much smoother experience. And the thing is, right now you can't do this in docked mode even if your TV supports it, but the thing is, we already know for a fact that the dock is capable of doing VRR because there have been people that have been able to connect the Switch 2 dock to output with a Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck does get VRR when it does output to a TV, so we know that the dock can do it, but it seems like Nintendo for some reason hasn't enabled it for the Switch 2. Maybe there's some issues and things, so I'm just hoping that they can finally get a patch or an update out for the Switch 2 next year that can add VRR, especially for a lot of these Switch 2 games that are going to be coming out. I really want to just have that experience with VRR on the Switch 2 when I'm playing in docked mode. But with that, there you go guys, those are pretty much all of the wishes that I have for Nintendo next year in 2026. If you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. I'm definitely gonna have some more videos talking about Nintendo, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you think about this. What are some of your wishes for Nintendo next year in 2026? What would you really like to see? It can really be about anything, so definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.